All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Bros Weekly. I am here with Tanner and Roy. As always, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Robinhood hitting 52-week highs. Very exciting. We'll be discussing why that's happening. Vlad was at a Bitcoin conference today, so we'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff he said. Nvidia earnings tomorrow. All three of us own Nvidia, so we'll be discussing Nvidia. And then we got some other stuff going on in the macro and Bitcoin that we'll be discussing as well. Tanner and Roy, how are you?
Doing good.
Doing awesome, bro.
Tanner, how was your Memorial Day?
You know, I respect what you guys do. I don't know. It's not a holiday for us. I'm a Canadian.
Okay. Roy, how about you?
It was great, man. Lots of cooking, lots of time with family. Of course, did a little something to honor those that sacrificed for the nation. But yeah, it's a nice day off. 3-day weekends are nice.
Yeah, I always forget, like, Tanner probably or just any, like, it's such an American holiday, but you know, people around the world don't really know kind of what's going on.
Tanner didn't celebrate it because he hates America. So
No. This is not going to be the new meme that starts.
That's also true.
You know what? Call me late.
All right, fair enough.
I'll take being late.
All right, I'm super fuzzy right now. Give it a second. The fuzz is gonna leave. The fact that SpaceX just had 4K footage from freaking outer space and I'm fuzzy is kind of sad. But anyway, let's get into the first topic of the day. Hoodie hit 67, 66.91 was that 52-week high. It's not an all-time high like some people have said because all-time highs was 85. But Roy, give me your raw take to 66 on the day for Hood.
Yeah, it's not shocking. We're in a bull market. Crypto's doing well. Robinhood's doing very well as a company as well. It's going to go up. I think that it's probably, as long as the bull market stays intact, we'll see a new all-time high this year. It would not shock me at all. I don't think it's a shock anybody really at this point. They're doing a lot of things well. And the other piece of that too, the one reason why I saw Hood might, have a bit of a drag is if we enter a crypto winter. We're at an all-time high essentially at Bitcoin. So that's not happening right now.
Honestly, I am a little bit surprised by this move. Like, yes, crypto is at an, reaching new highs again, but the volume isn't there. We're not seeing quite the volume like we did in late Q4, early Q1. If you actually look at the daily volumes, they were 2-3x higher than what we're seeing. So I don't know what this means in terms of translating to all-time high revenues. And if I think that people have to wait for the monthly statistics, and that might be a shock to the downside.
So are you saying volume as far as crypto volume or as far as like on the stock?
Crypto volume specifically is quite low. But yet the stock is running as if we're, at all-time highs in terms of, equities might be there, options might be there. But as we've seen, crypto does make up for a large percentage of their overall revenue. And that's not just based on price. Price absolutely helps that. But it's also the amount, the dollar amount that's traded. So who knows? It doesn't mean that Robinhood's volume is not at all-time highs. They could be. Market share changes could happen. Maybe a lot of the volume is done on Robinhood's platform, but I'm seeing a lot of sentiment in terms of like really bearish SoFi, really positive Robinhood, and the prices and the stocks reflect that. But actually, I find that the data that we're seeing actually supports SoFi right now and doesn't support Robinhood as much.
So I actually agree with you. I think this crypto run is not really being engaged with by retail. Now, that doesn't mean the crypto volumes are bad compared to what we had last month. Probably a lot better. But yeah, dude, Robinhood's not top 200 in the App Store. Neither is Coinbase. Google search terms for Bitcoin are not that high. I really do think this is MicroStrategy. These are Bitcoin treasury companies. These are the Saudis, the Chinese, all these guys pumping it. Now, granted, I know I'm so fuzzy. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully,
Yeah, well, like, what's going on, man?
I don't know. It's being stupid, bro. I might just be fuzzy the whole time. But I still think retail is participating, especially because of the equity and options volume. So even if we don't get that juicy take rate on crypto, it still should be a pretty strong Q2. Question is just how good is crypto at the end of this quarter?
Yeah. If we see weaker website traffic next month, like we're going to see that data in the next 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't know how exciting Q2 Q2 will actually be. So we'll have to see. Overall, I still think it's a company that I want to hold for a super long time, but might be a pretty overexcited run up on this stock versus other fintech names.
Are you guys buying at all?
No.
I really haven't bought much of
Why
anything.
am I the only one who's buying this in the 60s?
I like to buy it in the 40s, bro. Like, why would I?
But
be
like,
buying
can anyone join? Am I the only one who's buying at 61? I bought 100 shares today at 65.20. Like,
so I've not bought, but there is there's a little bit of rounding out of my hood, like in three different portfolios of mine. Well, actually 4 technically, but and none of them are like flat even, like in 100 digit stuff. So I need to round that out a little bit, but that's not a meaningful buy. And I'll probably wait for the stock if it goes back down to go back down. Otherwise, I'll just sell off those additional shares if it goes up. So it's a good position to be in. A lot of people, Sigeg is mentioning this too, that volume is actually a little bit lighter than you'd expect in like today. Maybe it's a holiday weekend, but as far as like stock volume, not just on Robinhood, but on most tickers, including the indices, something to keep an eye on. But sometimes that's a signal too that there's just buyers are having some fatigue or just waiting for an event such as Nvidia that we'll talk about in a little bit.
I'm the newest options degen here. What do you guys think about writing covered calls on Robinhood, or do you think that just the volatility on the stock is crazy?
Write them on Robinhood.
Well, you just answered your question. You can't write covered calls on something that's not volatile. So yeah, like,
well, fair.
Like
yeah,
that's why I was gonna say that's why I keep buying, because I'm just writing calls against them, and that's how I navigate it.
I'm sure you've looked at the premium on SoFi and been disappointed, haven't you?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah,
it's almost not worth writing.
It used to be good, but ever since it got stuck in this range, that's when the premium started going down.
Gotcha.
The more volatile the stock, the higher the IV. Of course, it depends on events and some other things too. So, like PayPal, its premiums are not great. They're not as bad as SoFi right now, depending. But yeah, you want a stock like Nvidia, you want a stock like Robinhood, a stock like Tesla. There's a risk there, and that's the reason why you get the higher premiums. But
right.
I mean, if you're comfortable with either learning how to roll or being very conservative with your strikes, I've been forced to take profits before on Robinhood. I've rolled a couple of times. Mostly, I played it safe, and it's been fine. And you don't have to do like Gurjov says. You don't have to do your entire position too. You can stagger it, do some like a little bit more conservative, and some like you're just not even going to touch.
So what would you guys right here? I see a lot of volume on the $70.
I'm doing 70. Yeah,
I did several different strikes this time. 70s, and I think it did 73s.
I actually did 72 this morning. So yeah, that's the one I did.
72 for what time?
Friday.
Oh,
Silver theta.
Yeah, I used to be a fan of the monthlies, but this market's too volatile to not navigate it every week.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, hey, I might have multiple positions that I write covered calls on tomorrow. Then
I love how you're acting like this is like he's like, oh, I might write. Like, yes, dude, we've been telling you this for 2 years. This is what you should be doing. Like, it's not a bad strategy.
And something to be aware of. So Spark mentioned it. He said, "Hey, this might be a bad time just because that potential S&P 500 inclusion. June 6th is the date. Friday, it's after hours. Usually, that's about an hour to an hour and a half after hours, which is after the time where you can, if you have a call contract, that you can exercise that call. So, in other words, you're not going to get your shares called away. I always, just in case they're early for once, for some reason, and within that 30 minutes to an hour time frame where you can still do things after hours, I just close out my covered calls early on potential S&P 500 inclusion dates. But that's some added volatility. So just be aware of that, especially if you do further out than just weeklies. That's where it can really hurt you, because
And you're just
even
buying
though
them
this
back?
is a heavy institutional name, it shouldn't like run up. It's going to anyway if it gets included, or it could go the other direction too, where people are expecting and making bets on it, and it doesn't get included, and it goes down like 5% in after hours.
And when's the next date of inclusion?
The 6th June.
Yeah, so I wouldn't write covered calls into the S&P inclusion, right? You got to be kind of smart about it, because if they do get in, then you don't want to be stuck there. Granted, we got to get in, but yeah, on a week before, I don't think it's crazy. And again, remember, like the beautiful thing about writing covered calls on Palantir and Hood right now is that they're basically at all-time highs. So when you're writing an out the money call, like you're forcing the stock to be like, I want to go higher, and like maybe. But if it's not a 2024 type of market where every other week we're making new all-time highs, like more likely than not, it's going to chill in a range, which is okay.
Yeah.
Now, what if they put Williams-Sonoma in a second time, that it just occupies 2 spots in the S&P 500?
Dude, they don't even fit the market cap requirements anymore.
No?
They were down 7% on their earnings, bro. Like,
Yes, good.
That's funny.
Irrationally, I don't like them just because of that. But maybe we'll talk more about this next week. But do you guys think that they're getting in?
Yeah, dude. Who else are they going to pick?
There's a lot of good companies out there. The Trade Desk, I think.
I think that there's a lot of financials, and the last company that they just had was another quote unquote financial. So, I don't know. That would be the only thing, but I do think that they would get in. So if they swap out like a bad, smaller regional bank or something like this for Robinhood, I can absolutely see that.
Yeah, I need to do my research. I usually do a post or a video, or maybe both on this. But yeah, App 11 is another one that could get into. There was like, I don't know. I identified like a dozen companies that are maybe not as deserving as Hood, but potentially deserving. And there's a lot of good ones out there.
This is not the right time to talk about this, but I've got a real concern about the Trade Desk in a less website environment. Not even talking about their performance, but just like the companies that they are covering and that make them the most amount of money are potentially going to just overall see less traffic.
I'm getting to you then. You'll turn embarrassed on Google.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh,
that's not what I'm saying. I think I think that they'll do really well on their own Gemini app.
Okay, that's fair.
Well,
yeah, I don't want to rehash that argument, but like that is one of those things where like I've done a post on this. I've done a lot of thinking of this. I talked with you guys about this too. The shifting, it's really a mix shift in the way that the web is accessed, and it has a lot of ramifications. And I feel like I'm scratching like 2% of the surface of the implications, and that's the frustrating thing. Is like I feel like that there's a huge opportunity out there, and I'm just not smart enough, and I don't have enough time to like get beyond that surface level. So,
and this is in what? Sorry.
The way that the web is being accessed with, we talked about model context protocol, AI agents, MCP, the model context programming or protocol rather.
I straight up think it's not.
Guys, let's talk about Hood. Like we'll get told this.
Okay.
This is like way too much. So Tess has a good point. If they do announce tokenization, which I think we should switch to next, in the Paris event or the France event. So that's basically for the whoever didn't watch Vlad's Bitcoin conference today. That's all he talked about is like making everything tokenable on the blockchain. Yeah, I mean, I think I could see this thing running to that 75, 85 all-time high, irrespective of valuation, just based on the street factoring in that growth. Do you guys think that's possible, or do you think they need to like show the product in its full flesh to even get a chance?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I think that they're going to launch and announce a lot of stuff at the crypto event. Some of the stuff that I think they want to launch, and Stephen Quirk alluded to it. I haven't made a post on this yet. They're basically like, they were asked like, are you guys thinking about this? And the way it was phrased, like Quirk fired back and said, no, we're going to do it. It's just a matter, we're waiting for regulation. We're going to be leaders in that. We're going to go for it. We don't wait around.
Yeah. I just don't know how, like, it is very exciting. But I think this is one of those events that, like, the smaller, more obvious things are probably the things that are going to have bigger impact, like staking. I just think staking will be the largest thing that they do in this crypto event, and everything else will be gravy.
Well, Vlad, so they asked them today on the conference, like, hey, Kraken just unveiled this. Are you guys good to do this? And Vlad was like, the TLDR is, he was like, I like to show, not tell. And he was just like, if I were to make an announcement, I would show the product in its full flesh. So he didn't want to, like, you know, preview anything at the conference. It's pretty obvious, bro. They're launching something like this.
Yeah.
Like, very obvious.
He had that news article that they wrote, you know, back in like January, February, and Stephen Quirk, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, that's what he said in the comments, is like, we are going to do this. It's just waiting regulation. That's a tough thing, is like Kraken somehow is, well, it's not a United States company, but they're not impeded in the same way as Robinhood is right now. Just they can't do it yet.
What is the TAM expansion just allowing international users to also gain access to American companies?
Yes.
Yeah. And for Robinhood, it conceivably basically gives them a backdoor, kind of like their crypto wallet does, for companies that they haven't really officially launched in. Tokenization of that, there's a lot of different ramifications, but one is places where they have not launched, they can still backdoor through that tokenized asset as long as that crypto wallet is there. So would that drive huge volumes? No, but yeah, it's a good shift.
Yeah, good for overall U.S. equities, I guess, right? You could potentially even see a higher just multiple on companies. So, you know, start with Nvidia and work your way down.
Yes.
It is becoming obvious to me. This is going to be super competitive, though. This is not going to be like a monopoly they have on tokens. So they've really got to build one of the best products to win. But, you know, that's what we're betting on when it comes to Vlad.
Yeah, sorry, you can change the topic, but I don't think that it's going to become a complete commodity. This will be like stable coins.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair. Roy, you posted this today. Steve Quirk was at the JP Morgan Tech Conference, and he said some stuff. You want to explain why you kind of singled out this part of what he said?
Yeah, I hadn't seen that before. I thought it was really cool. Basically, ACATs are transferring from one brokerage to another. And Steve has been in the business a long time. I think he worked for Schwab before. And Robinhood in the past, they've been really, really good at capturing first-time users. And as users get a little bit more savvy, they will transfer to other platforms when they have a little bit more money. And Robinhood basically had this massive churn. What's happened now is they're literally ACAT positive against everybody. Like, they take clients from everybody, and they haven't lost any edge as far as getting those brand new users either. Now, some of that is, of course, from the transfer bonus that helps, but a lot of it too is just showing the stickiness of the product, and that's why they're adding a lot of features. That's why they have the desktop client. That's why they are launching things like tax lots, which they're filling out these products, and as a result, people that would usually be leaving them are like, you know what, I like it. It's got enough for me. I'm going to stick there. And that will only continue in the future as they continue to build more and more products on there. And so it's closing the back door even while the front door is wide open. And that just helps them grow rapidly as far as their user base, which is great for them. So I love seeing that, like, literally, even like one of the examples he gives is IBKR used to brag, I think the guy's name was Tommy, about how they loved Robinhood because they were such a great source for their own clients coming over from Robinhood. And you can't say that anymore because they're actually taking more clients away from IBKR.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if there's in a environment like this where you're competing for other businesses for a similar sort of product, whenever you're transferring users from every single other competitor and it's not the other way around for any of them, that company has ever been a poor investment. Definitely. You know, I mean, that's got to be the most concrete, hey guys, we are going to win. Like, especially because that's happening now, but yet the speed of innovation is faster for Robinhood than any of the other companies. So how does this continue to snowball 1 year from now, 2 years from now, etc.?
Yeah. Well, I would agree.
The other piece of that too is like it's not just that the back door has gotten a lot smaller. It's not just transfer bonuses either, but like they have, and we've talked about this before. They have a flywheel that attracts new customers and users, and they have to build those things out. But like the predictions market will be for somebody's first exposure to Robinhood, which will eventually bring them over to the platform. The credit card, and yes, they need to roll out more of those. They're accelerating that some. That'll be the first time somebody uses Robinhood. And eventually they get an account with them and they bring their assets over. The banking product, not launched yet, same thing. So, yeah, it's hard to see them not doing well.
Bro, what is technical analysis?
Bro, I've been doing like Technical Tuesday for a year. I still don't know anything about it. All I know is this shit looks sexy. And if it
where I don't even understand where the starting point is. That isn't where they IPO'd and that wasn't their top. Like you could see the green they just picked a point.
No. There's more to it. But like they IPO'd at 38 and they went to 85 for like a day.
Yeah. So pick 65 for no reason.
Well, there is reasons, but it's not a double top given that we hit 52-week highs today. And we got momentum on our side. And if it breaks out. Now, the thing about Robinhood is, look, we could get into a bear market in 2026 and like, yeah, we hit 100 or something, but it could come back down, right? So it's not a software stock where like the revenues are so compounding because once you get that customer, you're going to get more out of them. It's like, hey, if the market sucks, Robinhood's, so this is one of those things where you really do got to be buying it for the long term. And that's why I think calls are the best strategy to kind of play the volatility, but it doesn't mean it has to just be elevated if the market takes a dip. Okay, I don't think there's any other Robinhood news this week. Vlad was at the Bitcoin conference today.
It's been relatively quiet for the last little bit since their last announcement, but overall, I think Legend continues to push out small indicators, different updates like that. I don't know if I can say this. I feel like you've been getting away from Legend. What's going on with that?
I use it every day. What are you talking about?
I thought you switched back to Webull.
No. So the problem with Legend is after hours, there's a bug where they don't show the after hours percentage move. They count the percentage move as a entire move intraday. So if the stock's down 5% after hours, it'll say the stock is like only down 2% because it was up 5%. So that's why I use Webull. But
yeah, I actually prefer Webull for that reason too. Only in the after hours because it does show that after hours move only, and also like there's one other thing I like Webull better for, but everything else is better of it, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so Nvidia tomorrow. This one's gonna be exciting. Tanner will be streaming live with me and Jose. Roy, if you're free, you can join, but if you're not, that's fine.
Yeah, won't be.
Tanner, are we gonna get rich tomorrow? What's going on?
I think that we're going to. I think that there are some people saying that China implications are not being priced in. I think that they are. I think that people are not pricing in that this is going to be the largest China quarter minus 5 billion. So I think that that's important to remember. I think that they've always beaten. They'll continue to hopefully keep up a great level as long as CapEx from large U.S. companies continue to show off. I think that investors will be happy. What the stock does, however, I'm not sure. I mean, last quarter was, an absolute smashing success, and the stock went down quite a lot once it opened the next day. So people will look heavily at guidance, and who knows where guidance is going to be with the amount of uncertainty right now.
Okay, so I have a very specific question. Or actually, Roy, give your thoughts, and then I'll ask my question.
Yeah, I think that the drag from scaling Blackwell will be a little bit less on margins, so that'll help. I feel like there's a lot more downside still priced in, despite the move over the last month and upside.
Yeah,
they've announced some pretty significant moves, including in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia. I think guidance that they'll probably raise, especially with what they're building. We'll see though. There is like not everything is great for them just because of tariff stuff, but I think that's priced in. I could be wrong. It's been, I think, There's been 3 quarters where they've posted really good numbers and the stock basically hasn't moved. I think it's just a matter of time, and I'm being very careful with covered calls. Unlike Tanner, who's like, I'm going to sell them right at the money. Just kidding. But I'm nervous for covered call holders here. I could be wrong, and I'm not betting earnings beyond just being careful.
I didn't sell anything yet. What should I do tomorrow?
Probably wait because you've not researched on how to roll, and I don't want you to be in a position where you're trying to scramble and figure that out.
It'll be fine.
Okay, sell them then.
But what do you think a price that I should sell them at? Worst comes to worst, I can sell them way down, like way out of the money.
150 to 155, I feel like. Unless you want to be super conservative and then go to 165.
Roy?
I wouldn't sell any lower than 160. And the premiums are probably not worth it, so I would just not. But if you have a large Nvidia position, so if there is a portion of your position where you're like, hey, if I get 150, I'm fine with that, and I'll allocate it into something else, sell the 150s on just that amount, and then be less aggressive on the other amounts.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Amit, you said you had a big question about Nvidia?
Yeah, so JP Morgan said there's 2 things they're concerned about. Number one, they think guidance, the buy side is saying it's only going to be off by $1 billion. They're saying it's going to be off by $7 billion in Q2 based on the China charge off. And then they said margins are going to come in at 58%, not 71%.
I mean,
do you think there's any truth to that? Because if that happens, this stock's going to fall bad, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that's the same one that I was reading, that they were expecting like 38 billion for revenue this quarter.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah, I don't think that they're factoring in the China sales that actually did go through this quarter. It was almost at the level that they sold all of last year. So minus 5 billion off of their 16 billion in sales, they still doubled their quarter last year. Or quarter over quarter. So I think that it's not true, but I'm maybe I'll play the fool. Maybe everyone on Wall Street will.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I'm being so conservative with Nvidia too is this is my second quarter as an Nvidia shareholder, I believe, and I was very new in Nvidia for that first quarter. So I tend to wait a couple of quarters around earnings and not even do anything with covered calls, not make predictions, just learn and watch. And there's a lot about the business. Like Nvidia's massive. There's stuff that I'm learning every single time I do a little research on them. So
yeah,
I'd rather be conservative. But I mean, gut is, I think you're right, Tanner. I think that there's still a lot of negativity priced in. It became irrational when it fell under triple digits, but
yeah. Do you guys think that there is smuggling into China? I know that this is a big thing right now where they're talking about, oh, how can you smuggle a 3,000 pound massive, server rack? But honestly, I think that is, I don't think the only things that are going into other countries are things that you can hide under a tire well. I mean, this is like, there are complete trucks that are unchecked. So what are your thoughts on China still getting sales through Taiwan and Singapore?
It's still happening.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can just think of it this way. Like, how would they do this? Oh, because the government wants it to happen so that they're not going to look the other way. The other factor too is they have a lot of containers that are going in there because they're empty containers because they're shipping out so much. Sometimes those empty containers are not empty. A lot probably does go through Singapore. Yeah. And yeah, they have Huawei and different competitors there, but I mean, they still want the H100s.
Yeah, that's true. If people can steal cars and ship them, I mean, if you can export stolen vehicles, you could probably get a few chips through.
But what is the headline that they're designing a new version of Blackwell for China?
Yeah.
But how does that going to work unless Trump gives them the green light?
He will. They'll be torn down parameters. It'll be
when?
June, supposedly.
You think they're going to give them the green light by June?
Well, from my understanding is that the bar is set at a certain level and that if it's under that level, you don't really need approval. You know, it passes already. I don't think that they're asking for something like, it's not like they're not allowed to sell into China. It's that they're not allowed to sell at a certain parameter level. And the existing H20s did not pass that.
And the other factor too is like, it's depending on licenses, which still I've not seen anything as far as like those being granted, awarded under the conditions. But, you know, China and the United States have a pause right now on tariffs. There are negotiations. And I would be pretty surprised if part of the negotiations weren't like, hey, yes, we have a deal for Ukraine for some of those rare earth elements, but give us access to that back in the United States, and you can have better access back to the, maybe not H100s, but H20s or whatever it works out with. Like, that's got to be a factor, I would imagine. So that could also be another way that they get that ramped up.
By the way, by the like this chip, I'm confusing two separate things. So one was the lowering of the H20 parameters, but even by design in the name, that's Hopper architecture. So if this is a completely separate chip or the same sort of rumored discussion that they were talking about on like Reuters, who knows what the chip, they might rename it. They've done that before with the 800s. Who knows? But they're obviously going to want to bring in the most acceptable chip that they can to China, so then they can still run the CUDA software and everything.
Okay, so
I don't think that there should be any export restrictions.
Oh, we know you're a greedy little capitalist who just wants more money. You don't care,
or
about,
at least
you don't care about the morality of AI or
morality.
You don't
of
live
AI.
in the United States, so you don't know the implications of China using our chips against us. You don't get that because we have to defend you in Canada. So you don't understand what it feels like. I get it.
Yeah, I think that it would be worse off if the Huawei chips get really good because they're making money by selling them, that they actually get better and better research and development budgets and then start actually selling to UAE or India or, you know, all of the other countries that potentially would want Chinese exported chips. So I think that the chips that sell the most here will become the future standard of the world. And you want the code of the future to be written essentially
red, white,
from
and blue.
American chips, American language.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You know?
By the way, I agree with Tanner. Like, I want my money, bro. I want my money.
It's not just that is national security. Like, really, you setting the standard is national security.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we cannot let Huawei get as powerful as Nvidia, and if we give them unlimited demand in China, like
a full ban on chips is bad. I think, you know, even setting a certain amount of chips that you're allowed to send over there is probably the more correct thing that you should probably do. Still let China or still let Nvidia sell the most powerful chips, but at, you know, capped limits. If you're worried about their data centers, like building out like 5 gigawatt data centers, I understand that even. But the whole idea about like, oh, well, they're going to steal IP. It's like, okay, if you give them 10 Blackwell chips versus 10,000, the IP is gone. Like, they already have those chips. So, you know, you don't think they can disassemble them and learn how they were built? I don't know.
it's a fair point.
But I guess I'm just a dumb Canadian, which everyone talks like, you guys have the most complex systems on earth. No, my feeble brain cannot understand anything that's going on a few kilometers south of me. Sorry, miles. My bad.
Watch it.
Yeah, we are the only ones that use miles and all that stuff. But like even in India, they use kilometers. Everyone uses kilometers.
Everyone uses kilometers.
Makes more sense, honestly.
We wouldn't understand.
Maybe in return for Canada becoming the 51st state, we'll say, okay, well, we use kilometers then.
It's okay, Tanner. We know you don't get it.
Tanner, you want to be an American or no?
Yeah.
Damn,
I'm waiting for you to get your own place, and then I'm going to go work for AK Media and get a sponsored, you know, citizenship that way.
No, but actually, would you want to be an American or no?
Yes.
That was a quick response.
Yeah, I've been saying it for years. It's like no one believes me.
Where's your Canadian pride, bro?
I don't have a lot of it, to be honest.
Whoa.
I don't have a lot of it. I like
I'm gonna tell Trudeau on you, bro.
Well,
You
you can
can't do
tell
anything
Trudeau.
anymore.
Don't tell Mark Carney.
Matt Money will adopt you, so just you can go that route.
Tanner's basically American, bro.
All my money is in US dollars. Like all of it. And you know what's funny is our banks are actually getting pretty good that like most of them have USD accounts, and even the good ones still give you like 4% on your cash. So we've got as good of accounts as you guys, and sometimes even better. I'm probably making more on my USD dollars than you guys, than some of you Americans. So, but not the Robinhood people who just put in $18,000, ladies and gentlemen, 4.5% for the next 60 days.
I saw that. Yeah, so they're doing a special promotion that they're really good at this experimental stuff where if you put in a certain amount, they'll give you a higher APY. They're also doing Robinhood Gold Week again, right? Where they're giving out $1 million to people who sign up for gold.
Oh yeah.
Now, I thought that this was funny. Breaking it down, it's $69 a month. Congratulations.
Nice.
Somebody did the math.
Dude. So I wonder how gold subscribers are doing too, because there's not a lot of fanfare about like gold month like they did in March, but they're giving away $1 million, so I guess that should be beneficial.
Yeah. One thing I love as a shareholder is they're willing to run experiments like this, and then if they're not working, they're like, well, we won't do that again.
Yeah.
Or if it's an ongoing thing like the 1% everything match, they're like, oh, we're going to phase that out. We're going to honor our commitment, but we're going to phase it out and deprecate it. So I don't mind them trying a lot of different things to see what's working. And just because, and good companies know this, just because a marketing campaign worked once doesn't mean like that's the best. And it doesn't also mean that it will work exactly the same way. Again, usually if you do the same thing again and again and again, there's a little bit of fatigue and people are looking for something different.
Also, the people that are complaining about the gold card, I get your concerns. I don't really relate. No, it's not about your credit score. I don't relate to your concerns because I have my card. But the reason you're not getting it is because Robinhood's being really safe and conservative with their underwriting. And I think as a shareholder, even if as a customer you're annoyed, you got to give them credit for not just giving 1 million people the card overnight.
To be fair, I'll just say one thing, not to bash people who haven't received the card, but I don't know anyone that's been denied the Robinhood Gold card.
No, but no one's been denied. That's the point.
Right. So the people who are not accepted.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's all demographic. Like it's all geolocations and stuff. Like, dude, they weren't giving it to people in New Jersey. The only reason I got it is because I showed up at the investor day. But like people in Arkansas started getting it 8 months ago. So I don't think it has anything to do with your credit score. Now, maybe there's some people that they're just straight up projecting, but this is them like randomizing, doing cohorts, trying to get some people who have a high credit score. Some people have to pay the balance, right? So they're also trying to get people who have low credit scores and then trying to figure out like where does it work out. And that's why I think they're taking time. Yeah. State laws, yeah, a bunch of different stuff they're dealing with.
I think it's a very good card, and I hope that they continue to roll it out. They said that they wanted to 5x their total money movement this year, so they've got big plans, and banking right around the corner is going to really skyrocket the level that people are using their credit cards and spending, because you're going to have money that actually you will want to spend. But yeah.
The software is really good for it too. Like it's not something that normally stands out with credit cards. I've got like 4 credit cards or something like that. And just the Robinhood Gold is my go-to. But usually it's just you're on there, you pay your bill, and that's it. And it's just the interface, like adding users, seeing and tracking who's using what, finding individual purchases, the latency. Although I did have some more than normal today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. But it's a very pleasurable experience. Virtual cards, they just work so well. The copy paste functions. It's awesome. I have not actually done the rewards. I need to do the mystery box sometime, but like even those little things, like they're done pretty well. The only thing that's not great on there is the travel benefits, just because it's a white label from somebody else.
Yeah. Look, the card is phenomenal. It's going to take them time to roll. They have 200,000 people though. And I think Vlad said they want to get to 500 by the end of the year.
I'm sure they're over 200,000 now.
Yeah. I just hope by the end of the year we can figure out if the card is profitable or not. Because I definitely don't think it's profitable right now. It's doing 10 million in revenue. If they get to 25 per quarter, it'll be another 9-figure business. And I think that's coming by mid 2026. And again, the biggest reason I'm excited about this is why. So a lot of hood bears last year were like, oh, 3% credit card. There's no way I can buy the stock. I'm like, it was the worst bear case you could come up with. I mean, it was just like, it showed zero understanding of the business, zero understanding of.
You couldn't get the credit card, you mean?
No, like there were people that were saying, I will not buy Robinhood stock because they're giving away 3% cash back. And that is unsustainable. It's going to bankrupt the company. It was the laziest bear case. And it was the most unoriginal bear case because the reason they can give you 3% cash back is because their marketing costs are zero.
Right.
All the big companies have to spend a ton of money to acquire. They have 1.2 million people on the wait list, and they did nothing to get those 1.2 million people other than have an event. So the 3% was never going to bankrupt them. Now, can it get profitable sooner than later? I hope so. But it wasn't the end or death of Robinhood.
And the nice thing about people's frustration is it's because they want the product. And the moment, because I know I felt this, I was frustrated that I wasn't getting it. And I was like, it's going to probably be a long time. The moment I got it in my hands, all that was gone. It's just like, this is amazing. So, and then
it's like the sports betting, Roy. Now you love it because.
No, I'll never say that I love the sports betting. I love it as an investor, as a consumer. No.
But you use it, and that's
you use it.
No, sir.
Yes, you do. You bet on the JPOW thing.
No. Well, I did that. That's not sports betting. That's if it's contracts. Different.
That's betting though. That's betting though, Roy.
And by the way, DJ's going to 0. By the way, so
looks like the Knicks are about to go down 3-1. By the way,
right. Go Pacers.
What's the changes on event contract? This is some of the problems that I actually have with Robinhood. Okay, it's too much of a closed ecosystem. That's the problem that I dislike. Kalshi, without me being able to sign up or anything like this, allows me to go on and see how the contracts are doing, what they offer. Okay, Webull, Mumu, any of these ones, you can go on and like use their web version of their apps. Robinhood, you can't use Robinhood Legend. You can't check the contracts. You can't do any of these things without having an account. You have to verify your account by being an American citizen. So it's hard for me to keep track, which I know that they do not care about. They shouldn't care about. But I just wish those things were open because I'd love to see what event contracts they're keeping up with. I almost have to wait for someone to post it on X.
Yeah, look, it's a fair critique. I think there's a bunch of regulatory reasons why they don't like show it publicly. But yeah, I mean, they're not.
How's it regulatory? Kalshi's doing fine.
Yeah, but Kalshi is not a brokerage that has the SEC down their neck every other month. You know, like if you have to affirm your account on Robinhood just to get access to it. I agree with you. There should be a way where they make it just a media website where people can see the bets. But they're not interested in that right now.
Yeah.
Also, they don't make any money off that. That's the other issue.
What?
Like Kalshi makes money off you just like seeing or like being introduced to their website. If Robinhood just had a display with all the contracts.
Do they have ads? Kalshi?
I don't know. Robinhood definitely doesn't. But
yeah, I've not seen them other than just them posting on X and Tariq Mansour posting too.
It is a good idea though, because that could be a gateway for them to get new users if they like made it a website, Robinhood/contracts or something where you could see everything.
I think that those shareable buttons where you can easily turn something into a PNG or a JPEG or whatever to put on X, it's like these things, Koifin did it so well, FinChat, all these things, because if you continuously see the same posts and you're like, oh, what company keeps making these? Oh, the logo's right at the bottom and it was easily reposted. So if you could easily repost, and I think that Robinhood has done that well for people that are just like screenshotting and being like, look at my portfolio's up this much year to date or something like this. But doing that now with contracts, I think that would be nice.
I agree. Okay, so we talked Nvidia, we talked Hood. What else is going on in the world of tech?
Waymo and Waymo's expanding like crazy across Houston, San Antonio, Orlando.
Do you want to talk about little Google? Because we were getting into that in the beginning.
Palantir maybe too.
I'd love to hear what's new with Palantir.
Roy, what do you want to talk about Palantir? Go ahead.
I mean, so last week, was it last week? I think that they announced a massive expansion of their Maven contract.
Yes.
Which originally big tech, Google, got out of that. They're like, hey, morally, we can't do this. Palantir's like, that's all ours, baby. And that contract has only grown. Those like William Blair that cover this, they're like, oh, they're not going to get the same revenue. It's going to be divided up. And contract after contract, and the Maven contract is no exception, that goes to Palantir. Essentially, the government is writing the rationale of like there's no competition here. That they word it different ways, but that's what they're saying. And Palantir got this huge expansion of over $1 billion. It's their largest contract, an increase of $795 million. Which, yeah, it's through 2029, but even for Palantir, like that's big. That's really big. But it's just really showing like how well the software works, how sticky it is, how much of a moat that they have. And then we saw an announcement last week on May 20th with SAP partnering with it in their Sapphire event, which I was mostly excited about, a little bit upset because I'm like, hey, ERP software, they can go after that too. But at some point, you're just like, hey, let's take the easy win here. And then today they announced, I'm forgetting the name. Help me out, Amit.
Today was a Bain.
The third largest
consulting firm.
Yeah, consulting firm. So just a lot of really cool stuff. And then the other piece that I really liked, and I actually have a video that's coming out tomorrow on this. So Bain, it works with massive companies mostly. Like they'll do others as well, but it's mostly those Fortune 500 type companies. So the large, and they already have been recommending and using Palantir. They're using this now for themselves because they're like, this is incredible software and we need to use this. You also see with SAP. SAP is especially like mid-range, not the Fortune 500. They do work with that too. It's ERP software, but really it's that middle range. And then on the small side of it, Palantir had this product called Foundry for Builders, and they rolled it out through a lot of SPACs. A lot of bears, said they were just buying revenue. And I mean, there was some truth to it, frankly. And it worked out net positive, I think, but it was a tough thing. Part of it was just the environment that caused a lot of those SPACs to go belly up. And there's still even a drag now on revenue today, which is frustrating. But in essence, they're like, hey, our software works. AIP is very modular, and we've honed down as far as like the package and the elements that you need for startups. And so they specifically, in April, they announced that they were doing a startup competition. Like, hey, we want people out there that are pre-Series B funding, that are AI unicorns, to make their pitch. And then we're going to pick the 25 best and essentially put you through summer camp. It's more than that, but use AIP, build on it, and then pitch this to not only Palantir execs, but also, I believe, Fortune 50 companies. And a lot of these startup guys are not just like fake fraudulent companies that are sketchy. They're like Y Combinator not founders, but employees and people that have branched out. I don't think there's any former Palantir folks here, but just incredible people on the top of the game. And I think I've heard of like a total of one of these, but will all be successful? No, but it's basically showing the range of Palantir, the appetite, the moat, the scalability as well, from massive companies that are on top of their game all the way to like Series A startups. And I'm like, man, what blew me away is, and I have this in the video too, Amit, you remember when Foundry links were a thing and EtherSquare was, so in essence, trying to figure out, because we were so desperate for positive Palantir news in the black days of 2022, that people would sleuth and try to find any link at all, including like just potential pilot links for Palantir, because like things were dismal. And that kind of got shut down by Palantir. They didn't like that. They asked for that to stop. And now, and part of the issue was like people didn't even want to identify with Palantir. Now everybody wants to identify with Palantir. I'm like, is it expensive? Yes, it is. But a lot more of it is justified than most people give credit to.
Yeah, they're expanding, dude. They're accelerating their go-to-market. Again, we were talking about this for the past couple of weeks, but we don't need them to go to 500 in the next 2 years. We just need them to not lose 120 to 130 or whatever. Call it like, honestly, call it 100 to like 140 is my range over the next couple of years. If they can just hold that, they can have a chance to really grow into the valuation in a more meaningful way. And maybe the growth is so amazing that we blow past, the 100s in the short distance coming up. But if that doesn't happen, then we just got to hold it. Because if we don't have SAP type of clients, 400,000 enterprise clients, we have 800. Like, if we don't get to that point, we're not going to keep this multiple. So I think all these partnerships that you're talking about, again, Maven, Bain, top consulting firm in the world, it just shows that the customer count should explode, hopefully, over the next decade.
And so are you just writing covered calls this whole time while you hold through those years?
Yeah, not on my whole position, but like last week I wrote 140s and I got paid like $2 a contract, which is crazy. So it's like, yeah, and if it holds at these levels and it stays range bound, the covered calls are going to be great. But Palantir tends to run away from covered calls, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way this time again as well.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Waymo and FSD,
please?
Yeah. Okay, what is Waymo's moat? Because a lot of people know I went to Boston this weekend. I FSD for 5 hours. Why is Waymo even relevant if FSD is going to be what I experienced over the weekend?
I don't think that there's
Go ahead, Tanner.
Okay. I don't think that there's a general straight up moat for Waymo. I think Waymo proves that there's not going to be a one player owns the entire market, that this is going to be more of a commodity than anything, that once they do solve full self-driving, that Waymo and Zoox and Mobileye and AV Ride and all the different companies will all take some percentage of the market share. And, it's just good that Google is also going to have a good part in that. I think that that's what's interesting.
Okay, but what if FSD is just a better product than all the things you mentioned?
How can it be?
Because Waymo can't take me to Boston for 5 hours with 0 interventions.
Okay, but you don't have to pay for an entire vehicle.
What are you talking about? I'm saying when the robotaxi comes out and someone wants to...
You can't get in a thing for 5 hours and go to Boston.
I'm not talking about that example. I'm saying if you want to go to the airport, that's beyond the geofencing of Waymo. How is that not objectively more superior than Waymo?
I don't see... Well, as you see, they're rolling out into more and more cities. I think eventually they will just be available across America.
But will they be geofenced across America?
No.
But but does the LiDAR keep them geofenced?
I mean, not to my understanding. I think that they're doing it for, greater safety purposes, but during those times they're going to simulate larger and larger areas until they fill out the geography.
Okay, so they're going to fill out the geography, not using neural nets and how Tesla is thinking of like just solving the problem.
Yeah, but
they're going to keep doing it via LiDAR.
Tesla is going into Austin also geofenced.
I'm not saying Tesla's going to succeed in June. I think they have a long runway. I'm just saying, like, if Waymo doesn't solve FSD, which, given the geofencing and the LiDAR, I don't think they've solved it. I think Tesla is pretty damn close. Why won't Tesla just be a way better product?
So I agree with you, like, if it works, but Waymo right now has the lead. Like, I don't think you can dispute that as far as their reach, as far as visibility, as far as the partnerships and everything. And they're a lot more horizontal. And for hardware like this, it's a lot easier to scale if you're horizontal rather than vertical. It is more expensive, and it will continue to be. Now, is there a date when geofencing is no longer a thing? Probably with Waymo. It's going to take longer, and it will take longer to scale just because they're doing it that way. But that LiDAR it's getting cheaper, but it's not super cheap. Tesla will always have the cost advantage, but they actually have to be able to scale it. And they're starting in Austin. Is it like 12 vehicles? It's super niche, super small. Can they ramp it up dramatically depending on regulation? Absolutely, but it's not going to ramp as fast as Elon Musk basically not promises, but thinks is possible, just because Elon Musk timelines. And the other big factor is like this. So we already saw with Waymo, and I'm sure you remember this, like anytime Waymo messes up, especially when it was really early, people would take pictures, they would post. There was, if you remember too, like there was angry, irate people against Waymo, like jumping on the vehicles and damaging them, which is stupid. That's going to happen to Tesla, and even more so, like because of things like this. Like this, nobody heard about. Nobody cares. Blink charged the guy $500 million for an hour of charging, and he couldn't get a hold of customer service, which is actually insane.
It's just that's just an error. I mean, why is that even making news?
But if Tesla did it, even with it being an error, it would be in every single newspaper. It would be lambasted. People would be talking about it for years. And that's the danger and issue, because Elon Musk and Tesla are very much in the spotlight, is if robotaxis don't go well. And I think that's why they're being cautious, and I like it as an investor. But if they run over somebody's dog, or Lord forbid, run over somebody's kid, which I know FSD is great, it's not 100% foolproof. It's not perfect. They have to be really careful. Or more likely, because I think that those are pretty unlikely, more likely like it hits somebody's car, or it runs over a curb and it shouldn't, it gets stuck, and people are taking pictures and everything. There's a real reputational risk. Now, the other factor too is there are people that just won't get in Waymo because they don't like automated folks. There's a lot more people that will never get in a Tesla because they hate Elon Musk, or they don't trust him, or they think that the car might like abduct them and take them to a concentration camp, or some crazy stuff that's absolutely ridiculous.
It's the number one Uber customer service call is, how do I disable Teslas from picking me up?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I do think that this is funny.
Wait,
this is
really?
a Waymo. Sorry?
Really?
Yeah.
People call to say don't. That is incredible.
Supposedly it's the number one customer service question. This is Waymo. What I think is so funny, because just like what you said with Tesla, this actually is a very great statistic. In 56 million miles, they have fewer injuries with pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcycles. What this means is that they're crashing into pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. Okay. If this was a Tesla, each one of those would be massive news. It wouldn't just be a data point like what Waymo is using it as.
And I think we've talked about this before, but full self-driving and autonomy, not just for Tesla, but especially for Tesla, doesn't just have to be better than humans. It has to be exponentially better, because we can tolerate, and we're used to human error, but we do not tolerate that in our automated systems. We don't tolerate that in machines. We don't tolerate that in LLMs, and we certainly won't tolerate it in automated cars.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I think both are going to do really well, and both are going to win. I just, after the experience I had this weekend, I started questioning, okay, sure, they have 10 million rides, but like BlackBerry sold a lot of phones before the iPhone came out, right? Like what exactly is the value of these driverless rides if A, they're expensive as hell, which we experienced, B, they're in this like tiny geofence, and then C, they're not solving the problem.
Well, hold on.
The problem is AI, not LiDAR.
They're not all that expensive. They just recently jacked or really reduced the pricing of the Waymos, because they started to see their price or their vehicles per week start to flatline, and now we're seeing a massive spike up in rides because they're reducing pricing. So, I
mean, my cousin in California took a ride the other day, $29 for a mile and a half, and she was like, "What the hell was the point of it?" Like, so I believe you that but like it's still pretty ridiculous. And I feel like if a robotaxi's in Austin or San Francisco with a Waymo, and the robotaxi is just cheaper, and it's a better experience. Also, the Waymo cars are ugly, bro. We went in the car, it sucked, right?
Yeah.
It was a Jaguar. It was like all hunky dory. Like it's not the same experience.
Well, I don't know if I'd necessarily, complain about the Jaguar essentially, but the outside look of it is worse than the robotaxi. But
like, not many people care about that. Cost though is real. Like I'm a cheapskate, and like if Tesla is going to cost me $10, Uber will cost me 30, and Waymo will cost me 35. I'm gonna go Tesla.
Yeah.
Some people won't, just because like, hey, they hate Tesla, but
I don't even think the question is who's winning. I just think it's price versus the size of the market. Like, has anyone actually done the numbers to be like, okay, well, what's a realistic increase in robotaxi ramp up? Like, does this bring a couple $1 billion in for revenue? $10 billion? What does that actually do for annual revenue increase? And well, one, that's not even that much, but two, the price is pricing it as if it's like growing insanely. And yet Google, on the other hand, is ramping this product that does actually work. That's not speculative at all. And it's not being priced into the company at all. Like that's the thing. I think as an investor, we can, one, pick the market leader, which I do actually think will be Tesla, or we could pick the companies that I think are priced to what their expectations are, which Waymo is probably second place.
I think it'll take time. But like the other thing too is, you guys remember when we took that Waymo, we had to walk to where it was picking us up. It would not come to us.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be an issue with Tesla's full self-driving. And it dropped us off like a block away from where we actually wanted to be. Tesla,
I think that's more of the app problem rather than the car. I think that I don't know this for sure, but I bet you is it Austin that they are using Uber? That version would be much better.
We'll see.
They're on the Waymo One app right now.
So
yeah, well, here's the thing. Look, where Tesla could really mess this up is if Waymo ends up figuring out how to solve the problem, even if it's not as perfectly as Tesla figures it out, but they just beat them on scale and they just expand. Wait, why wouldn't that happen?
I just don't think that they'll have the numbers.
They're already doing 10 million rides. Isn't that the whole point?
They have like 2,000 vehicles.
Oh, okay. So you're saying so you're saying if Tesla solves it first and they unleash the millions of vehicles they have on the road, you think that
they'll get more rides. What I think is a more interesting part is are people going to have Uber and Lyft and Zoox app and Waymo app and Tesla app, or are they just going to use Uber? And is every single other company going to use Uber and not Tesla? And then that becomes interesting, in my opinion. Like, what does the network effect of every autonomous vehicle and every with just such a swath of data and 200 million users, or this other company that wants to do it solo and keep the margin for themselves?
I think that's a very, very fair point. And I also think this 10 million ride number then could easily be surpassed by Tesla if they execute. But, they've got to solve this. They've got to get the regulatory stuff in place. And then this is the other thing. They've got to get people to put up their vehicle in the network. It shouldn't be that hard, right? Like, Roy, would you put your Tesla up for drives?
So we're planning to get the new Model Y. We would not put that one up. I think we'll just keep that one for ourselves and our family vehicle. Our second Tesla, yes. Less attached. I mean, it's our only one right now, but yeah, I'm on the website now, and I don't know if you guys heard about it. I'm very excited about it. They have 48-hour demo drives now.
Wow.
And they don't charge you for that. Like, you have to kind of schedule it out in advance. So, and apparently you can do it as many times as you want, even supposedly Cybertruck. But the Model Y is what we're wanting to do. And I'm interested in that. I just finished talking to Tevis about some Tesla stuff. But one of those things that's really cool is that gives you long enough with the vehicle, how it looks in your driveway. You know what it feels like probably to go to the supercharger, because you want to try that out if you've never done that with Tesla before. And then you get comfortable enough in the vehicle that you don't feel like you're on pins and needles everywhere you go. You're not going to be able to test full self-driving because at least they haven't allowed that for demo drives in the past. But I think that's going to sell as long as they limit people that are trying to abuse the system of like getting a free rental like every week. I think that's going to lead to a lot more sales. Because when did you first get in a Tesla?
November 2024.
And did that what did that do to your perspective or perception on the vehicle itself?
I mean, it made me buy the car. So
yeah, and me, I would have been a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago. I ended up, no, I guess it would have been almost 2 years ago. I got into a Tesla on my birthday, did a demo drive on the Y and the 3. My wife and I were like, yeah, this is amazing. And we have to get one. And we ended up getting one. We'll probably get another one now.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. I have another question. Hold on. You said there's 2,000 Waymos. Let's say Tesla.
I think it's actually less than that on the road today, but they want, I think it's last numbers that I saw, they had 1,500 and they just purchased their last shipment of the I-Pace Jaguars, and that was another 2,000. So they want to have 3,500 Jaguars on the road. And then they want to scale their Gen 5, which is the Zeekr models, which are much, much cheaper.
Okay, so hold on. When Tesla unveils unsupervised and they can, there's 7 million vehicles. Let's assume they get 100,000. Let's say they get 50,000 compared to Waymo's 3,500.
This is what people say.
Wait, so why the hell are we talking about Waymo?
It's because Waymo will still get full utilization.
No, but if the cost per mile goes down and Tesla has just so many more of them on the road, how is this going to be a competition?
I'm not saying that whenever you say competition, you think that there is a 100% market share taker and then a 0%.
No, I'm saying what if Tesla takes 80 and Waymo gets 20?
Then Waymo gets 20. I think that's perfect.
But that's not that. Google doesn't deserve a multiple then if Waymo gets 20%. That's nothing.
I mean, look at what they're priced at, though.
Look at their price, dude.
Their valuation is nothing versus look at Tesla's price. Like,
Google
I'm not even. I know Tanner likes to characterize me as a Google bull, but
I agree Google's cheap, but I'm saying why are we complaining that Waymo doesn't get a premium if none of the rides make them any money in terms of profit?
You say 20 and Tesla gets 80. That means that Tesla should be 4x the price.
I'm not talking about the stock.
But they're not 4x the price, are they? They're like 10x the price.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the stock. I'm talking about why do people think Waymo is an exciting product if Tesla is going to have hundreds of thousands of vehicles in the next year, theoretically, if this works out, and Waymo is going to have barely 3,000.
Well, one, I don't think anyone knows the timeline for Tesla because...
No, but let's assume in the next year, we're making assumptions, right? In the next year, Waymo maybe gets 3,500. Let's assume 5,000. Tesla has 100,000 on the road, 50,000 on the road. And then Tesla's beating them on price because of whatever the reasons are that people say that Tesla will get the cost.
And I would buy Tesla. You know what? I'd say in a year, there's a 0% chance that happens. I'll put it at 1% to give, but like we're talking a year. I mean, in June, it's going to go in a tiny beta test that's geo-fenced in one city.
Okay, so what if it happens in 2 years?
Well, then I think that would be very good for Tesla. But like I literally said with my Tesla trade, it's a 24-month trade. I think that I will have the opportunity to buy back in the stock at a later date. I do want Tesla. I'm not anti-Tesla.
You think I'm talking about the stock, dude? I don't even care about the stock right now.
I think that they will be the market leader here.
But no, I'm asking a broader question. Why do people think Waymo? This is the kind of revelation I've had over the weekend. Why do people get excited? I didn't even know they had 2,000 Waymos, bro. I thought there was a lot more Waymos in the country. If Tesla can turn on FSD unsupervised, even in a couple of years, and hundreds of thousands of cars enter the network, like, why is this even a comparison then with Waymo?
Because every car that they put out is there will be 100% utilization. So it's just added revenue in a new market that they've never been a part of. I think that's exciting.
The thing is with Tesla, like you've experienced full self-driving. You know it works for the consumer and it will work for the consumer. And at some point it will become autonomous. We don't know that will work as a robotaxi. Now, I think that it will. I'm continuing to invest in Tesla. But regulation, some of that blowback politically can push back on them as well. Something could go terribly wrong in the pilot program and things get pushed back so long that Waymo just dominates the market.
That's true. Yeah.
And so but for Waymo, on the other hand, is it the fastest scaling? It's not. Is it the most massive network? No. But it's inevitable that they're going to have a slow march across America and eventually other places as well.
Yeah. And I think it also depends on the style of investor, right? I think both are perfectly fine. I think that, one is more of a gamble, which is Tesla. And the other one is a less speculative. I would almost say not speculative at all. There's not a chance that their data gets worse. And it's already on the road. It's already being regulated. And by the city expansion rate, you're seeing that the countries feel, or the cities feel comfortable completely signing off on this now.
Mm-hmm.
And that might happen to Tesla as well, but that's not guaranteed.
Yeah. And there will be locales that just don't because the mayor or whoever hates Tesla or Musk.
Well, that would be true too, right? Like just blue cities might just have a political and you'd think, oh, well, they wouldn't stoop that low. But it's like, Brazil was like closing down Elon's companies because of other political, crazy stuff.
But, I do see a lot of comments like people saying full self-driving is terrible and everything. If you guys were doing full self-driving 2 years ago, or if you experienced it, you do not know what it's like today. It is so much better than even when I experienced it initially versus now. And I'm on an older hardware stack. I'm in an older, version of full self-driving. The new stuff, the version 13 plus in hardware stack 4 is incredibly compelling. It's a matter of time before they have hardware stack 5. The data is there. Like it's basically the worst that full self-driving gets now. And it's like, you've heard him it. Like he's not a blind bull. He's not an idiot. The reason why he's excited is that he's seen it. He knows it works for him. Like he's willing to, you don't even want to drive for yourself, do you anymore? No. And so the fun thing is, I don't know how many know this, but I finally got you to do full self-driving. Like,
dude, I never did FSD. I was taking Roy out to dinner when he visited me, and he was like, "Oh, you just like push down and it drives itself." I was like, "What?" It was like, "Yeah, just do it." And I was like, "It'll just go to the Applebee's." He's like, "Yeah, just put in the directions." And then I pressed down. I'm like, "Holy crap, dude!" Like, and that was on my 1 month free trial of FSD, and it was crazy. And it took us to Applebee's, and
I have like really smart cruise control on my car, so it like won't make turns, it won't change lanes, but it'll stay in the lane forever, go forward. And I love it to death. So I can imagine FSD is world changing. I'm super bullish on that. I think that I can't wait for unsupervised. Let me go on my laptop, buy my time back. Oh yeah, 100%.
And I was before I actually tried full self-driving, I was in the Tesla. I was like, yeah, it's probably decent, but it's probably overrated. You know how Elon fanboys are. And then I became one essentially. But advanced autopilot, it's for free for Tesla users. You can have it for the steering and everything. So it holds a lane, steers left and right, won't take turns, won't stop at stoplights, will stop when cars and people and stuff are in front of you, regulated speed, all that stuff. So it's very good and it's free. I'm like, how much better could full self-driving be? And again, this is an older hardware stack. This is an older full self-driving. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's a whole lot better. Good enough that when we did our massive 2,000-mile road trip, we're like, yeah, let's get the month of full self-driving. It makes sense. And it like the mental strain like aspect, it just, you feel like a passenger in your vehicle in the best possible way. And it's, honestly, hardware stack 4 on the version that Amit's using, it's good enough. Don't do this. It's illegal, but it's good enough to be unsupervised almost all the time at this point.
Isn't there a level of you can't really unsupervise it because it's watching your face?
There are many ways around it, and I won't say whether or not I've done some of those.
Sunglasses?
Where's sunglasses? Dude, I should have done that for the trip, dude.
Dude.
So
I thought they updated recently something about sunglasses detection or something like that.
No, it still works. And the way I know it is the nag was terrible. Like it used to be like you would have to be jiggling the steering wheel all the time. Now, if it can't see your eyes, so if you're wearing sunglasses or if it's very dark, you have to do it anyway. And I got annoyed on the road trip. I'm like, fine, I'll just put on sunglasses. And it wasn't even that. It was, I was putting directions in or searching for something on the screen, not even distracted. I was just like, looking and it, nagged me. And I'm like, fine, sunglasses. There we go. And I'm still being safe, but yeah, it stopped nagging me. It's great. I still had to jiggle the steering wheel here and there. The problem for my wife, she's 4'11", and so she has to scoot up so far that the camera doesn't recognize that there's a human in the driver's seat. Basically, it knows the weight, so it knows that somebody has to be there, even though she's super light. But it's so funny because it annoys her because it will not. She's not wearing sunglasses or anything, and it just is like, yeah, I don't see somebody's eyes because they're way up there because she's tiny.
She's steering wheel on her chin type driving.
And that leads me to like one of my favorite things with Tesla. There's so many favorite things, but in our old vehicles, I would have to manually adjust every single time or reach over and like hit the button. Now I just walk up to the vehicle and it's like, oh, it's big old fatty Roy, who is 6 foot, weighs 240 pounds, all the way back. Enjoy, buddy. And I don't have to like squeeze through there just to hit the button or anything like that. It's great.
Yeah. Any other topics for the night?
I think that's pretty much it. Hood, Nvidia, Google stuff. I mean, Google, it is getting a little pump after I/O. Took a bit, but
yeah, because you said you were bored as ever. I think Gemini is like.
Oh, hold on. No, I've been using Gemini, dude. It sucks.
Oh no, I've switched to Gemini and I like it a lot. The only thing I don't like is the image generation is terrible.
No, bro, you can't tell me Gemini is better than ChatGPT.
It hallucinates terribly. It's the worst hallucinating out of any that I've used over the last couple months.
What are you guys using?
Also, it's slow.
ChatGPT, Grok, and I've used some like Claude, which Claude it's better for coding, but yeah.
What are you guys using? 2.5 Flash?
Yes, sir.
I think so.
2.5.
Everybody was raving about Gemini. I'm like, I know it's good. It's been a while since I've used it, so I used it, and it was not good. I'll take that back. It was great until the moment it hallucinated, and then I'm like, what in the world? Like, I've not seen that bad of a hallucination. I don't even remember what it was, but it was glaring, and I'm like, well, maybe it's just a one-off. No, it kept hallucinating left and right, and frankly, I just don't trust. And maybe I'm wrong on Gemini, but like Google is woke, and they're kind of like China is with data and information, where they will censor things. I've not experienced that on Gemini. I know how Bard was initially, though, so maybe they're not like that.
Do you think ChatGPT is any different?
Yes,
I don't.
As far as like the organization itself, no. But as far as the actual result, yes. I've had it say, without like trying to prompt engineer it into a corner, say things that are not politically correct at all. Now, Grok will do a lot more to an extreme, but yeah, ChatGPT feels kind of like the New York Times used to be. Like they say that they're neutral. They're not quite. They skew a little bit left, but you can largely trust them. Now, Times might be a little bit different now.
Yeah, GPT censored me the other day when I asked it a question. I'm not going to ask what question, but they were like, that's not appropriate. And I went to Grok. Grok gave me an answer in 2 seconds. I was like, all right.
Yeah, Grok does not care.
No.
Grok doesn't care, bro.
Yeah. And honestly, I've gotten to the point where I don't know if other people are going to be like this too, where I use basically my own orchestration layer. So if there's something I'm not confident in, like, hey, jog my memory or aggregate this data. If I'm like, remind me of, I was looking at when Herod the Great had completed the temple, like what that project was like as far as the time frame and everything. I couldn't remember that like historically. I remember like roughly, and I was finding different things on the web. I'm like, I'll just ask ChatGPT and also Grok, and if they agree, then it's probably right, and they did. And Gemini, I didn't even try, but like it had hallucinated so badly the prior day. I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother.
Dude, I've been having fun a lot with a lot of the different models. I was even on a longer drive the other day, and I put on the advanced voice for GPT, and I said, I was driving with my girlfriend, and I said, create us a quiz game that I'm going to go first, and then she's going to play. You're going to ask us questions, we'll give you the answers, and then you're going to keep a tally of the points. And just went back and forth with general knowledge quizzes instead of just listening to the radio. And I was like, man, this is like going to be baked directly into the cars, where we're going to have Gemini or whichever ones. Obviously, Gemini's already been signing contracts with car companies to put Gemini directly in the cars. But that's going to come. And I think that's super exciting. I think voice is really going to open up the total TAM for search. Whether that's in a small device, I don't know if you guys are looking into this whole IO thing. I think it's going to be a nothing burger. I can't think of it being... How can it be anything other than Rabbit R1?
I agree with you. They've got if anyone could pull it off, it's Johnny Ive, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a designer. It's going to look good. The Rabbit R1 looked like crap. He's going to pick stainless steel. I don't know. But like the product is either going to have a screen on it or it's not going to have a screen on it. And if it's not like, what can a phone not do? That's what I'm thinking.
Why do you think it's a phone?
No, I don't think it's phony. The puzzle that we have is that it's something that sits between your phone and a laptop.
Wait, hold on. This is what I've been saying. So you agree with me? The glasses are stupid then?
No, it could be glasses.
No, but do you agree the glasses are stupid?
No, that's the only other form factor that I think works.
Okay, so for you, it's a race between phone and glasses.
Yeah.
I think the glasses are not going to work.
But I don't think they said it sits between a laptop and a phone. It sounds like it's a tiny speaker.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
And if it is, which is like what the Rabbit R1 was, it's going to be terrible. No one wants to book a vacation that they can't see. That whole idea of like, it's agentic and it can connect to all these different apps. No one is going to order anything like that.
No, you're right. You're so right, dude.
Like, order me a burrito. What are the options? And then it names 18 options. I'm like, let me see the options. I'm not going to go through 18 verbal options to pick, you know what? I'm going to get the spicy chicken. Voices is good, but it's not the only, like, visual is going to be such a big part forever. And the only way to get visual is glasses and a phone. And I think the phone already has the camera, already has audio, visual. It has everything. It's super portable. I actually don't know of a time until like brain computer interface starts coming in that we ever get rid of a smartphone.
Yeah, I don't think it's a phone. I think it's either glasses or a watch.
Yeah, that's not the way I thought about it. But if it's a watch or something, I think that's perfectly fine. You know?
Yeah, my opinion is that I think the phone is the perfect way to access AI. I agree with you, Tanner. I don't think it's glasses, and I don't think it's some watch or a necklace or whatever. But it's got to be something unique, bro. And I'm Johnny Ive. Like, I trust he'll come up with something.
Like, it's not bearish for Google. It's really bearish for Apple.
I mean, everyone's toting this Johnny Ive guy. He made the Mac. He made the like. We're acting like laptops and phones didn't exist before Johnny Ive came. I mean, it's going to look good. It's going to feel good in someone's hand or something. But it's like, I don't know. He's not Steve Jobs. Maybe I'm rude to say that. Sorry,
no, you're
Johnny.
right. You're right.
But like,
There's only one of them. Yeah.
He's a designer, not a complete revolutionary.
I asked my middle son, what he was thinking. He's 21, and it's like, hey, and he basically said, yeah, the guy is probably old and out of touch, so I'm not optimistic. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well,
he said, like, what's the last time that he designed something? And I had to look it up. I don't remember now, but it's been a while.
I think it was the
watch.
watch.
He's out of touch.
I'm sure you don't get a $6.4 billion startup for. You don't think that they're doing consulting work for businesses currently?
No,
I mean, probably.
Like what? Dude, they paid $6.4 billion to just get him to be an employee at OpenAI. It's not like they're acquiring any IP that's so special.
No, I don't think it's IP, but I'm sure they're revenue generating.
No, you think he's making money?
I didn't say profit. I said revenue generating.
OpenAI is just stupidly valued right now. And they have a lot of investors that shovel cash at them, not understanding it's a commodity, which isn't bad.
But Roy, it is a commodity, but I do think there's value to them. Because
there's value to commodities. Yeah, if you can scale it and they can scale it, there's value there. But it's not, I don't know. It shouldn't be valued at what it is, especially like, look at something like Perplexity, which it doesn't have the reach of ChatGPT, but I think that the valuation is 15. Is it not even 15 billion? It's like 6 billion or something that they're expected to raise. And is it Series B or Series C? I don't remember, but they're looking at another raise that'll give us eyeballs on it. Maybe we'll be wrong on that, but
there was a time in the .com bubble. I remember because I just recently read 0 to 1, and they talked about where revenue became and profits became the secondary to web impressions, like actual clicks. And clicks became such an important KPI for businesses, and it was actually the complete wrong way of looking at it because a lot of these companies didn't even know how to monetize. And there is an absolute possibility that ChatGPT falls into that they are getting a lot of traction and have lackluster ways of monetizing it. So I'm not 100% sold that they like that. That could be a bubble. There could be a private AI bubble.
ChatGPT better not be a bubble, bro. Because if it is,
I'm not saying that or like you're saying ChatGPT. I'm saying OpenAI. ChatGPT is a real product.
No, that's my point. If OpenAI is a bubble, we've got some big issues, bro. Like there are some companies that cannot fail if we want this AI hype to remain what it is over the next decade. Nvidia can't fail. Palantir can't fail. From an enterprise perspective, that would be really bad. ChatGPT can't. OpenAI can't fail. Gemini shouldn't fail.
What do you mean by fail?
Like they shouldn't become Web3 2021 hype products or companies.
That's not happening. What Tanner's saying is they may not be wildly profitable. They may struggle with profitability, and a lot of companies
they might have a down round
that have really good
that
products.
would not be good, bro.
I'm not saying it happens anytime soon, but like the product is real. It's just are investors going to see any returns anytime soon?
No, if I had the ability, like the one LLM company that I would actually invest in is Anthropic. They're really focused on businesses and coding and building the web infrastructure. A lot of it is open source as well through MCP, but like I was writing them off early on just because the consumer facing, like that's not what they're trying to do. But in businesses, like they're loved, they're respected, and I believe mathematics, but also coding. Like they excel, they connect to everything. They're very good at connectivity. And they seem like, although I'm not sure on this, but they seem unlike OpenAI, which is just like, hey, let's light a bunch of money on fire because we can. They're doing things very intelligently. So
I think SoFi recently just had a private round for Anthropic.
Really? Well, I wouldn't have been eligible because it's probably for 100 people, but
yeah, I think it was for accredited 199 investors, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing that again with XAI and Databricks. I think it's good that they do that, but it's not going to make any financial difference.
No, it's marketing mostly.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. We'll be back next Monday. Yes, I think we will.
Yes.
Monday's what, June 2nd? Yes, we should be. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So Robinhood, the June 6th, we'll see if they get into the S&P. And Nvidia tomorrow, Tanner and I will be live, and we'll recap everything next Monday as well.
It's going to be so freaking exciting, ladies and gentlemen. It's the biggest day, or well, it's the biggest 4 days of the year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big one, bro. This is a big one.
It's always the biggest one.
If they miss, it's going to be ugly. If they beat and raise dramatically, it's going to be nice. And if they stay flat, which is, what has happened recently, then hopefully it doesn't mess up the markets or anything.
They just need to hold up the 7. Well, we can talk about this later, I guess, but 75% gross margins by end of year. If that's going to stay consistent, everyone will stay happy.
Yeah. There it is, Jose. He'll be with us tomorrow.
Jose.
We'll be live 3:30 p.m. Eastern. It'll be a fun one. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'll be live when the market open tomorrow. We will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.